Hi, and welcome to the summary video presentation of the fall success session for second year students. Most of you are 12th graders. This session was offered on or presented on September 16th and again on September 30th. If you could not attend any of those sessions, you need to view this session, and it is important for a variety of reasons. You guys are now at the halfway point or almost the halfway point as a middle college student, and it's time to really see where you are and where you want to be and make plans so you get there. Covered during this presentation will be some brief news and announcements. We'll talk about this idea of time to lean in and complete. We want you to complete all your courses you're taking this semester and keep on completing until you get your degree in May of 2018. We're going to talk about planning for the future, the near future, and then the more distant future. You're ready to register for winter classes. That will open up as I record this in just over a week. And we want to make sure that you're ready for that and your plans help you get to the goals that you want. We'll talk about high school graduation requirements, the program of study for your SC4 degree, and then also planning beyond SC4. Many of you have expressed interest in going to a university or four-year college after SC4, and so we'll talk a little bit about that as well and how to choose classes now that will help you at the university, saving you a lot of money and time. And again, we'll go over winter registration in detail, not detail, but at least make sure you understand where the resources are so you can register correctly and make sure you get the courses that you want when you want them. So just a little bit of news and announcements. Early alert grades were posted earlier this month on October 3rd. I certainly hope you've checked them and know where you stand. If you didn't check your early alert grades, maybe there's another way that the instructor shares more current grades with you. Either way, you need to know where you stand in classes right now. The early alert grades, for what it's worth, you probably know this, but are in your WAVE in the academic profile section, and there is a link there for viewing early grades. Winter courses available on the WAVE. When I edited this presentation just about a day ago, I was hoping they'd be available October 21st, and SC4 actually beat that estimate. Winter courses are now available on the WAVE. So anyone viewing this, you will be able to go in and look at the courses and when they're offered, where they're offered, instructors, and all of that. It's all available right now. Winter registration opens on Monday, October 31st. As you'll see, it's actually late night, October 30th. So if you stay up till midnight on the 30th, you should be able to register once the clock ticks over to October 31st. So it's coming up quickly. Many of you have yet to take a math class. Some of you took math this fall semester, are taking it. Others have kind of waited on that, waiting to see what your SAT scores, how those might have placed you, and so on. But now's the time, if you haven't taken English 101 or Math 102 or Math 110, to make sure you know your status, where you place, and then know where you need to be to earn your SC4 degree. You don't want to keep putting off taking math and then realize that you should have started winter of 2017 to make sure you get to where you need to go. Mrs. Barr put together a math pathways sheet to identify where you need to get to and where you are on your math pathway. I'm going to show you that. So this link hopefully will open up that sheet. This will apply to the transfer degrees. Those of you who are pursuing a more prescribed applied associate degree, it's going to specifically say what math class you need. Now the pathway to get to that math class still applies. So here's a chart right now. This is the associate in arts. I'm going to use the mouse here just to kind of circle this. So the associate in arts has the most variability in terms of the math classes you can take to complete the degree. Math 104, which is called Foundations of Math, that's enough to get the degree, and you can get there just by taking Math 102 and then Math 104. And again, depending on where you place, you might already place into Math 110, 112. Others of you might place into Math 75 right now. Other options for the Associate in Arts include Math 113 or Pre-Calculus, which is good for those of you going on to a more science-related bachelor's degree. You'll have to take Pre-Calculus anyway, so you might as well try to get to it here at SC4. And then another option is statistics, which is kind of a different path. It's not the pre-calc, calc 1 path and so on, But degrees, future degrees such as psychology, sociology, business often require statistics courses. So that may be where you want to shoot to get to. That one's a little easier to get to than Math 113 because if you take Math 110, then you can place into Math 120. To place into Math 113, you have to take Math 110 and 111, or Math 112, which is a combination of Math 110 and 111. So check out this sheet. I'll show you where this is. It is available on the Student Success Central site under that page where we have scheduling, documents, and links, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So you can access this document and help plan out where you are and where you need to be. Okay, so with that in mind, let me go back. Let's see if this allows me to go back. No. Okay, one moment. Okay, I made it back here, back to the presentation. So how to find out where you are now, you need to check your Compass scores in the test summary section of your academic profile in the WAVE. There is a chart that is located on the Student Success Central website. If you go to there's a link on the left that says SC4 placement. You can click on that, and at the bottom that you'll see a link to a chart for Compass placement scores, and so you can click on that and see where you stand. If you're really not sure, just email one of us or call, and we'll let you know where you stand. If you haven't taken an English or math course at SC4, winter is probably the time to start. You can't keep putting those things off. Almost all the degrees require English 101 and English 102, and that takes 2 semesters right there. If your Compass writing or math score places you into a 050 or 075 course, you really should take the AccuPlacer test right away, actually within the next few weeks. AccuPlacer is the new Compass. It's a placement test. It's very similar, but it is not exactly the same as the Compass. AccuPlacer is a little more tied to the SAT test and the publisher of the SAT. You will be able to use SAT English and math scores for placement in the fall of 2017. You may be able to use it for winter registration, but we don't know that yet. And I know it's getting close, but the SC4 says they're not sure if the system is going to be set up ready to accept SAT scores and allow students to register for classes based on your SAT scores. There is an SAT placement chart as well as an AccuPlacer chart on that same page I mentioned before, the SC4 placement page of the Student Success Central site. So you probably don't want to wait to do this. You can come to the office and we can talk to you about the SAT or the AccuPlacer, or you can just go to the test center and say, look, I want to give it a shot, and you can choose whether you want to do the math or English tests. Okay, so it is time to lean in. In other words, as you'll see with the next picture, I think, we're about halfway through the semester. 8 weeks to go, plus final exam week as I record this, which is on October 19th. And you may be feeling that things are kind of building up against you, like the water against this person, where your classes are starting to come due, you have high school activities and so on. But it's time to do like this guy is doing. Lean into it, get some support like this poll is for him, and don't just get carried away or want to get out of the stream. Okay, you want to complete, lean in, get it done. So I want to look at a little bit of information. We presented this at the session because I think it's important to see. Our first graduating class, we had 53 students graduate in the spring of 2014, and these are students who were in the program all 3 years. 34 of those students to this point have earned an associate degree, so almost 2/3 of them. The next year we graduated a lot more, 131 students who went through all 3 years. 77 of them have earned their associate degree, just about a year and a half after that graduation, and that's about almost 60% of them, so that's still pretty good news. Last year's graduates, 115 middle college students graduated after 3 years in the program, and as of the end of summer, 52 of them, or 45% of them, earn their associate degree. I expect that as the next year goes on, students finish up 1, 2, or 3 classes that they need, and that number will probably get up near 60% as well. So that's a good number. 60% of our students getting a degree is great. The countywide average of all high school graduates is only about 1 in 3 getting any kind of degree after 6 years after high school. So our folks have done well, and I'm sure you guys will as well. But it still leaves about 40% of the students who have not earned a degree yet. And let's consider why, because that's still a lot, and I think that's too many who are not earning even an associate degree, much less a bachelor's degree. Some of them changed their program. So if you started out criminal justice and started taking a lot of those courses and then decided that you want to go into psychology, some of the CJ courses would help you, but some of them you're going to have to replace or take additional courses to get the associate in arts or something like that. So changing the program, it happens. That can put a person behind in getting a degree. A few of our students knew right away they did not want to pursue a degree. They were just going to focus on earning credits that will transfer to a 4-year program. A student might do that if they're going heavily into engineering and they know that the school they're going to won't take classes like CIS 115 or another class like a history class or something. So they said right from the start, I'm not worried about the degree. I'm going to take more math and science classes. But most of the students who don't have their degree or didn't get it on time, it's due to withdrawing from or failing classes. And so this is just a time to say, look, you stick with it, work hard, don't even think about withdrawing, okay? The graduating class in 2016, of the 66 students, graduates who withdrew from one or more class while in the middle college, only 11 of them earned an associate degree. So just right away, it's like if you've withdrawn from a class, you're already the odds are against you to getting your degree. It doesn't mean you can't get it on time. It just is obviously much tougher because only about 17% of the students did that. The other 41 of the 52 students who earned their degree on time withdrew from no classes. So even if they earned a D, they still get credits in that class. So stick with your classes and get help, and you'll see in the slides to come. Withdrawing from a class can be costly in a number of ways. As I mentioned, it will likely lead to a delay in earning your degree. Doesn't mean you won't get it, but it will lead to a delay. It will likely result in you having to pay for an additional college class in the future. It's not that we won't. The middle college will pay for you to retake a psychology class or something you might withdraw from. But when you do that second time you've taken that class is taking the place of you taking another class. So chances are there's going to be a class in the future that you're going to have to pay for because you didn't complete one as a middle college student, and that can easily get over $1,000 at a university and get up to near $2,000. So it's a huge cost to you and well worth it to keep working, stick through it, and get some help maybe you haven't gotten yet. It will result in a W on your college transcript. 1 W is not the end of the world. When you start getting 2 or 3 W's on your transcript, that signals future colleges and future employers that you're a person that does not stick through things that you start. It can also impact financial aid in the future when you have to start paying for school on your own. If you've withdrawn or failed too many classes, financial aid may not be available to you. And it will cost you the opportunity to learn how to face a difficult challenge and overcome it. You're all going to face a difficult challenge academically. As you go on to your careers, you're going to have to take tests and classes to get certified for whatever you do in most cases. And you want to learn how to work harder, how to work differently to succeed when something is tough rather than just backing off and withdrawing. Sometimes it is a wise choice, but only after you've tried everything else. So if you start thinking about withdrawing from a class, contact one of us right away and we'll talk you through the process. We're not going to try to, convince you or say you cannot withdraw at any cost. Ultimately, it's your decision. But we want you to look at the consequences and look at what you can still do to succeed in the class. There is now a withdrawal permission form that must be completed and approved before a student is allowed to withdraw. There are several steps to take before we approve the withdrawal, including meeting with one of us. The middle college staff member needs to communicate with one of your parents, and then we want to see that you're getting academic help or you've tried it, including meeting with your instructor, attending tutoring, and so on. And then also learning the future consequences of withdrawing, the costs that we talked about. Ultimately, we need your signature and that of one of your parents, and then we very well will approve the withdrawal, but in some cases, if you haven't done anything other than saying, I don't like the teacher, we are not going to approve the withdraw from the class. So you don't have to withdraw from or fail any class if you choose to lean in and get it done. Support is available, and it's important that you give that a try. During the session, we're not going to do this now, but this will be part of your assignment. We ask students to log into a Google form, and because support is a big part about succeeding in a college class, especially one that is difficult for you. That's why a student would be likely to seek out support. But what I want to show you, and what we showed them during the session, is what students were saying about what supports they were using. So I'm going to switch back to the web, and we're going to look at a summary of what the students said on the survey in terms of what kinds of supports they've used in just their first 2 semesters basically as an SC4 student. Okay, so we're looking now at responses that students submitted at the live session. And so we're just going to see a summary of what they did, and hopefully you have participated in some of these activities. If not, maybe you haven't needed to yet, but if you do, know that your classmates are doing that. So the first question asked students how many times, or if they've met with an SC4 instructor during office hours or by appointment, in other words, outside of the regular classroom. And in this case, the 18% are students that did that for 2 or more of their classes, have already, and they've only taken actually 4 last year and 3 this year, so 7 classes. About a third of the students have talked to their instructor during office hours or by appointment for at least one of their classes, and then just under half have yet to do that. And I'm hoping that the need wasn't there, which is why they haven't, not that they needed it and just didn't do it. So talking to your instructor should be the first thing you do if you're struggling in a class. You're also going to be asked how often, if at all, you've gone to SC4's Achievement Center to receive extra help. And in this case, a majority of the students have yet to go into the Achievement Center, which is located in the College Center building. Again, I'm hoping that's because the need isn't there, not that you're doing poorly in the class and not getting any help. But another encouraging thing is this segment right here, 8% or almost 10% of the students go into the Achievement Center once or twice a semester, and then a slightly smaller number, but are going once or twice a month or even once a week for a few students. So that I expect to change the more courses you have at SC4, but don't forget the Achievement Center is there for you. Students, you'll be asked to talk about, well, how was it if you did go there? And these are just a few of the thoughts that I want to share that students inputted during the survey. Here's one. Let me see. I went to Bonnie Romzek for every subject on the compass, so if you're going to have to retest, she's great. The level of help you get from her is extraordinary, and her personality is great. Another student said the staff there was very helpful in terms of finding which math course works best for me. The help there is really worth it, builds up my confidence. Tutors are extremely kind and supportive. The Achievement Center is a good place to study because it's so quiet. If you need help with something, all you need to do is ask. So very positive feedback from the students who have utilized the Achievement Center. A couple more things. The Writing Center. In this case, now about 80% of the students have yet to use the Writing Center, but that's kind of interesting that 20% have, since most of you have not taken English 101 or 102 yet. So you can use the Writing Center for all your courses, political science, sociology, or whatever. So students are just starting to use that. Let's look at what they said about the Writing Center. Here's a student. I used it to print a paper. My first year for college success, I used them quite a bit by emailing my paper to them. It worked well. You can email your paper to them. It helped a lot with my English essays and is part of my grade for English 102. For English 101 class, my professor offers extra credit for going to the Writing Center. I went and someone helped me modify a draft I'd written. I found it extremely helpful, and so on. And then, of course, we have this person right here, helped me write real well. Ha ha ha. Okay, and then finally the Math Center, and far fewer students have utilized the Math Center. That's because most of you have not taken a math class. Although you can use the Math Center for help in a high school class if you're struggling in a class back at your high school. So we'll go back to the presentation now, but I just hope that you will utilize the supports if you need it. This is the survey link, and so what we're going to do is, for as part of the assignment for this session, I'm going to ask you to pause this, or at some point go back to this address and copy and paste it or type it into your browser, and you're going to have to actually do that survey. Or I might email it to you a different way. I'm not sure, but anyway, we'll get that to you. That'll be part. We want to know what you're using. Okay, we looked at the results. So now I'm going to take a short break, and then we're going to go into a whole other section, important, on planning for the future. Okay, so now we're going to look at planning, and because this is actually going to help you choose courses for winter semester and beyond, and it's time to really start to flesh out your program of study, not only for winter semester in this coming year, but also next year. We'll spend just a little bit talking about planning for your high school commencement. Then the next phase or achievement will be your SC4 degree, and we call that a program of study for your SC4 degree. And then what to do and where to go after SC4. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that, but it is something to consider when you're choosing classes now, in terms of narrowing your career focus, identifying academic goals, in other words, majors that you might want to study in a college, and then identifying colleges and universities. So that is important now as you start to get deeper into your program at SC4. We'll show you career cruising just briefly again on how that can help you to that next level. Most of you, even though you're familiar with career cruising, haven't used it to look at the education needs of particular careers. So we'll do that. There are some career cruising graduation requirements that you'll need to complete at the end of 12th grade. But first of all, in terms of commencement, this hopefully is a fun and exciting year for you if you're attending one of our partner high schools, and chances are you want to walk and participate in commencement activities this spring. Therefore, you want to make sure all your high school graduation requirements are completed by spring, because many of our schools require their students to have everything done if they're going to walk across the stage and participate. Over the summer, you were sent a credit audit letter with your Blue Water Middle College transcript, and it also stated what you needed to take to complete those high school graduation requirements, whether you still needed an English and a math, or if you needed a government or civics class, or so on. So if you're unsure about that, contact one of us. Mrs. Barr actually is the one who kind of keeps track of that, so you might want to email her. But the question to consider is, do you need an SC4 course to complete a high school graduation requirement this winter? So if you were going to complete world history at SC4, make sure that you get HIS 101 or HIS 102 on your schedule if you don't have time to take it at high school. So that's very important. If you have questions about that, let us know. So that was it for the high school graduation requirements. I can just say that Mrs. Barr and Ms. Weimer stay in close touch with the counselors at the high schools, and we want you all to complete what you need to so you can walk in commencement. Sometimes students just don't do what they need to do and can't walk, so we hope that you'll be able to. So now we're going to look at planning for your SC4 degree. First of all, you have to know which one you want. If you started out and you weren't sure, you might have said, I'm going to pursue the Associate in Arts degree, which is a great degree to get, but now you may have narrowed it down more to one of the applied degrees, such as business management or criminal justice, or you might have started pursuing the Science Associate. So you have to decide which one you want. You're about 22 credits in for your 7 classes. And remember, you need 62 or more credits to earn your degree. So there's 40 more credits to go, 12 classes, so way more than half in terms of credits, but in terms of semesters, you just have 3 more to get those in. It is time to make a plan and to get that plan underway and get her done. So we're going to look at a program of study, this sheet that you saw last year, but we really are going to want you to start filling that out and fleshing that out at this point. There are several tools you can use that we've created and posted for designing a strong program of study. There are worksheets on which you can record the classes you've taken and the ones you think you're going to take. There are graduation worksheets posted, and I'll show you one of those in just a moment. We have those posted for the arts, the science, and the general education degree. And I'm going to go in just a moment to the college or the Student Success Central site and show you where you can access those. We also have them in the Middle College office if you want. And then the Applied Arts and Science degree requirements can be found on SC4's website, and I'll show you, how you can find that as well. But your goal should be to complete or update your program of study, and I have, when we were at the sessions, we were saying October 20th because registration, was about a week or two later. You probably won't be viewing this until the 19th or 20th at the earliest. So the idea, your goal should be to update your program of study as soon as possible, definitely before you register for winter classes. You should arrange an appointment with one of the Middle College staff members, that is Mrs. Barr, Ms. Weimer, me, or Mr. Ruiz, or both, an SC4 advisor. Many of you have yet to meet with an SC4 academic advisor. We're requiring that of all students. Once a year they must meet with an SC4 advisor. So if you can do it now, before you register for winter classes, that'll be the best thing. If not, you can do it later this fall or early in the winter. Like I said, all middle college students will be required to meet with an SC4 advisor. That's going to be the case at most colleges and universities you go to, and it is that important. And we're going to have details on how to document that visit. So, and I'm going to go back to the worksheets I talked about in just a bit. Actually, let's do that right now before we look at even the more distant future when we're talking about colleges and universities you may attend. Okay. Now, I mentioned that a lot of these tools are posted online at the Student Success Central site. This is set up by the Blue Water Middle College. When you go to this site and the URL, which is in the video, the easiest way to get there is tinyurl.com/BWMC success. And that's not the URL you'll see here. Either one works. This one's not that long either. But what I want you to know is that when you, over on the left, you'll see a link near the bottom of the links called Scheduling Documents and Links. And this is where we put a lot of important documents. What's nice is we can change them, upload the changes, and you can click on them and download the latest version. You guys came in the fall of 2015. So in this case, don't click or use these worksheets that say 2014, 2015. The requirements may be the same, but they might be different, and you can't base what you're doing on an older set of requirements. You can base them on a newer set of requirements, but not an older set. So in this case, this should look familiar. I'm going to open up the Associate Degree in Arts worksheet. And you'll remember last year we showed how to go through this and add the credits, and you can see I'm not going to do it during this presentation, but how many credits are required in each area, the fact that you need 6 or more credits in science, and so on. And so you can print this out, fill it out, and just kind of use this worksheet to keep yourself on track. You can go over, and you probably will go over the number of credits required, but you can't be under and still get your degree. We talked about math earlier in the presentation, so there are the 3 classes that are on that math pathway sheet. Speech class or oral interpretation, one or the other, are required for the arts degree, and so on. So I'm not going to get into the specifics of each degree, but I want you to know that the worksheets are there. And let me go back to that. And there's one for science, and there's one for the general education degree as well. Now, I said I'd show you where the requirements are for the applied degrees, and for that I'm going to go to SC4's web page, sc4.edu, and then under academics, when I hover over that, you'll see degrees and programs. So I'm clicking on that, and then you'll get to a page that has a listing from A to Z of all the programs. Okay. And if I look at, for example, the business, general business degree, this is not the transfer degree. This is the general business associate. It's an applied degree. I click on that, and it just gives you a couple sentences of information. Then you click on Read More. And then scroll down, and you'll see a box that says See a complete list of classes for this degree. And as we scroll down, let me see if it'll make this a little easier for you to see. you will see the courses listed. There we go. And it's the suggested course sequence. Obviously, this is for someone doing it in 2 years going full time. Yours is going to be a little different because you're completing this over 6 semesters, basically 3 years, and you couldn't take 4 classes a semester last year or this year. But you'll see all the courses listed. It's very specific. There's not a lot of electives built into this, and that's the reason why it's not considered a transfer degree. Here's a few electives, but even these have, asterisks around them. So if you're unsure of what this class is, or if it has prerequisites, you can actually click on it, and it will open up a little box explaining what the course is. And in this case, it has a prerequisite. Business 150 must be taken before Business 180. And that's where it gets important for planning your program of study starting now, because in some cases, accounting is one of those cases, you can't take accounting 211 until you've taken accounting 189. And then there's another accounting class, accounting 212, that you need to have taken accounting 211. So that's 3 accounting classes you need to take, and that means this one, accounting 189, needs to be taken in the winter, this winter, and then you can do the other 2 next year. So it's important to check out the requirements for your degree. We can help with this. The SC4 advisors can help you get a plan as well. One other little tip: when you go to these sites, there's a little icon that looks like a paper. If you click on that, it gives you a nice version that you can use to print, and then you can write in or highlight which ones you've taken. So if I printed this, you'll see in a second here, it gives you a nice list of the courses, and you can write down when you're taking them or when you think you're going to take it, and so on. Okay? So that's for the applied associate degrees. The transfer degrees, you're going to use your worksheets that are posted on the Student Success Central site. While we're here, some of the other things that I mentioned, the math pathway chart, you'll find that here as well. So if I click on this, there it is. So you can print that or just look at it there, since we passed them out at the meeting, but we won't be able to do that now. What else? The Michigan Transfer Agreement. This is important for this next segment where we're talking about earning classes that will transfer well to a university. You should be able to complete these requirements as part of one of the transfer degrees, especially the Associate in Arts or Associate in Science. It can be done with a business transfer degree. It's a little tougher, though, to get all these in because it requires a couple of sciences. But again, meet with someone now so we can help lay out your program of study. Okay, but that's there. I'm going to close that. We'll go back to what else is here. One of the things on here, it's in alphabetical order at the bottom, you have to scroll, is tutoring help. So we talked about leaning in, getting help. This sheet was updated this fall, and it includes the hours and the locations of the different centers. And so you can go ahead and look at that. This one doesn't have the, oh yeah, room 104 of the McKenzie building, so it is there. So that's there. That's the tutoring help information, so keep that in mind. Another thing that we'll talk about later, but I won't have to go back to it, so I'll show you it now. It's called the SC4 Course Chooser. It's simply questions that you can ask yourself about courses and help make the best decision. It's just a sheet of paper. You can print it out, or there's a Word version you can type right into it. I'm going to make it a little bigger here. Not sure if you can see this on the video, but let's say you're thinking of taking a couple of 3 or 4 courses. You're not sure which one. The questions to ask yourself: number 1, am I interested in the course? Do I fully understand what the course is about? All right, so you want to make sure you look at the description. Does the course help fulfill my program of study? Do I qualify for the course? Are there any prerequisites that I'm suddenly going to be hit with when I go to register? So make sure that you check the prerequisites. Is it likely to transfer to another college? That's where the SC4 academic advisors can help. We can help with that as well. Does it fit with my schedule? Do I need to take it now? Because maybe there's a class that I really have to make sure I get on my schedule. Others can maybe wait until a later semester. So the idea, this is just a sample there of if you answer yes to most of the questions, then maybe it's a good course for you to take. So that's the course chooser. And then the last thing I want to show you before leaving this is the program of study template. And this is, again, as you're putting your plan together, it's a document. I'll make it a little bigger. And basically you write in the courses you took last year, and you start adding up the credits, and you add them up down here. You now have 3 courses the first semester of 12th grade, and you got to get to 62. So you want to consider what courses do I need and when am I going to plot them in. And you might not know the exact course, but you can say, all right, first semester next year I'm going to take a science. Second semester I'm going to take a science, and just write it in and get this basically done, even if it's just general humanities rather than I know I'm going to take music appreciation or something like that. Okay, so the program of study template is there. There's also a version of it in Word, so if you like typing and saving on a program that you can use on your iPad or on your computer at home, you can open this up and it will open. You can download it and open it with Word and type right into it. Okay, so those are the tools, a very handy set of tools there. I'm going to minimize some of this and I'm going to go back to the presentation. On we go. Okay, we're getting there. This is the last major section. We have a little bit more on the registration part before we wrap up. But in terms of looking at your more distant future and the colleges that you may be attending, let me go back to the presentation mode. These are schools where our current graduates are now. And I know that many of you, when asked, do you want to, eventually get a bachelor's degree, a 4-year degree, most of you said yes. Not everyone's going to do it, but a lot of you want to move on to these. And so this is a point where you should start getting a little fired up about this, excited about it, because it's going to be there before you know it. Here are some photos of universities. Things just get bigger, and they'll have a whole huge building just on the sciences or whatever, and dining halls, and it's all exciting stuff. So I just wanted to give you a few pictures of some of these colleges, and of course the sports is exciting. The libraries are huge, and they're awesome places to be. They're also expensive though, and so you want to get as many classes to transfer successfully to these universities to save you time and money. Now, to know where you're going or what you want to do there, you have to be clear on what you want to do. And most students are probably kind of on this side of this, what we call a continuum. Ideally, you want to watch the little guy on the line there. You want to move from fuzzy to clear, and ideally crystal clear on what you want to do. But most folks aren't there yet, and it's very difficult, if ever, to be crystal clear on what you want to do. Some people are. But it requires you to plan well, requires you to know where you want to be. Some of you think you know exactly what you want to do. And even if you do, it's time to learn more about that. What does it take to become a veterinarian, if that's what you want to do, or a physical therapist, or an accountant, or a lawyer? Learn more about what it takes. Double check, is this really what I want to do? Do I know how to get there? And so be sure you know what it is and what it takes to get there. If you don't know for sure what you want to do, and I know that a lot of you are in that situation where you thought you knew but now you're not so sure, now is the time to search. You don't want to wait until you're all finished with the program and it's time to apply to schools, and that comes up actually in about 8 or 9 months. You can start applying to universities. It's time to learn more about careers and academic programs and to take the steps to narrow your career goals down to at least 2 or 3 likely options, hopefully no more than that at this time. Okay. A good resource for clarifying career and academic futures is Career Cruising. And it does have a lot of good information. A lot of times when you use it in 8th, 9th, and 10th grade and 11th grade, it's done fairly quickly, usually within one class period. You try to get these certain things done. But I'm going to show you, I'm going to take one career area and show you how to get to the educational piece of it and how it links on to future colleges. So I'm going to go back to the web and go to Career. Okay, I've logged into my sample Career Cruising account. For you, if you forgot your login and can't get it by going to careercruising.com and requesting it to be sent to you, you need to get in touch with your counselor. A student unaffiliated with one of our partner schools can contact Ms. Weimer or Mrs. Barr about their Career Cruising login. But what I want to show you, again, I'm going to go pretty quickly right into a career. I'm not going to talk about the different tools for identifying the careers, although those are valuable. But I'm going to go to the Careers tab. There's multiple ways of doing this. I'm going to use an example of a student that I met with a couple of weeks ago. Said she wanted to go into speech pathology. When I first typed in speech pathology, which is the study of that's the actual career area, it didn't come up with any results. But then I changed it to speech pathologist, the person, and then we did get results. So that's why I'm just going to say speech pathologist. If you try typing something in and it doesn't come up, then try another version of it, or you can go into it through these other tabs give you different ways of narrowing careers down. So what I did is we went in here and we looked at what does it say for a speech pathologist. And there's a pathologist, which is a person that works in labs, and that could be anything in terms of what is causing someone to be sick. But in this case, it's speech language pathologist. And over to the right, it says you need at least, in this case, a 4-year university or bachelor's degree. The coding is over here on the left. But we're going to click on that because that's clearly what she wanted to do. With this, as you know, I believe you know, you can see more about what they do. I encourage you to look at all of these things. If you think you want to do it and you haven't checked out all these and taken the time to read it, then you're making a big mistake, because this is a great source and it's at least a start. If you're just thinking that's what I want to do and you don't know more about it, that's a mistake. In this case, I'm going to focus on the education piece of it. So I'm going to go right here. And it will talk about the level of education you need. In this case, it says, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit, in order to become a speech language pathologist, you need to complete a master's degree in speech language pathology. Master's degree programs in this field accept students with bachelor degrees in most disciplines. However, they also require the completion of certain core courses at the undergraduate level, which is the bachelor's degree level, including psychology, physiology, and linguistics. So right there is a clue that, all right, maybe if you're a student at SC4, I should be taking Introduction to Psychology. Maybe there's another kind of psychology, but you've got to learn more about that. Maybe anatomy and physiology I could take here. But either way, now I know I need at least a master's degree, which is a graduate level degree, which means a lot more schooling and expense. And so the other thing is, when you then farther down on the education page, this is how you can link to colleges that have programs like this. In this case, if we go to related college programs like speech language pathology and pathologist, we click on this. And it lists, I'm going to zoom back out a little bit, the schools in Michigan. Now there are more, so you have to wait for it a little bit. So with this link, Eastern Michigan and Northern both have bachelor's degree programs in this area. They would prepare you for that master's level program. But I want to go back because there's other schools in the state that probably help in this order. So actually, when you click on this one, Communication Sciences and Disorders, you get many more schools in the state of Michigan. Now, some of them only have the graduate program. Others, though, like Wayne State, CMU, and even Michigan State, has a program in the graduate level, but you could also get a bachelor's degree that would prepare you for this. So all these schools, Grand Valley and so on. So the idea is then you want to click, and I won't do this in this presentation, it's way too much to include, but you'd want to click on the school, learn more about the school, learn more about the program they would have in communication disorders. But this is important as you're choosing your last, maybe 11, 12, 13 courses. And boy, you want to get ones that are going to help you with your future. So that's how Career Cruising can help. And then, of course, it links to the schools, and you can find out more information about them. You can go to their website, and just so much more. You guys have to start that. We'll stress it more in the spring success session, the one that we'll hold during winter semester, that whole idea of identifying colleges. But now you want to know what courses you might need to take so they will transfer and help you out. Okay, so now let's go back to our final home stretch on this. We looked at Career Cruising, a little bit about your college application, which you won't apply until next fall, but a little bit on grade point averages, keeping your grades up and so on. I'm going to go kind of quickly through this, but your high school grade point average for a school like Michigan State should be in the mid 3-point range. It can be a little lower. This is the middle 50% of the students, so some might have a 3.0, 3.1, but they'd probably have to have then a higher SAT score. But that's just to give you an idea. CMU, the high school grade point can be a little bit lower, not too much lower, but a little bit, and then your composite ACT average for them was 1130. So if you're around a 1050 or a 980, you should take the SAT again. And one other school that a lot of our graduates attend, Oakland University, again in the low 3-point range. That's the average. They don't have information on SAT scores, but it would also be, you'd need to be in the 1050, probably 1080 range to be accepted. You have a lot of control over your grade point average still coming up. Only 4 college classes are on your SC4 transcript, so your GPA can really move quickly based on the next 2 semesters of classes. There are about 16 more classes to add, including this semester. And then you also have 36 semester class credits on your high school transcripts, but you'll be picking up another 24 semester classes on your high school transcript over this semester, next semester, and then the 2 semesters next year. So still a lot of time to improve your grade point. We've already talked about where to get help, and that's another site that you can go to that provides a link to SC4's tutoring schedule and so on. So I suggest you give that a try. But I also included the information about the tutoring schedules. A little bit about the SAT. I strongly recommend that you retake it. Chances are you're going to get a better score. You don't have to do it right away, but the good date to consider doing it is next spring when you're finished with high school, finished with college for the summer anyway. And June 3rd it will be offered, and you can register from the collegeboard.org website. The cost is $45, and that's well worth it if it helps you get into the college you want and possibly get some scholarship dollars. It could be really worth it to retake it. So finally, when it comes to winter registration, you're choosing 3 more important classes. Refer to your program of study that you should develop. Consider the transferability of the courses, and again, you can get help on that. We've talked about it in the past, and there are different sites, whether it's the university's website that you're going to or the Michigan Transfer Network. We can help with that. It's a little too much to put into this presentation. Consider SC4 prerequisites and your final high school grad requirements. And then we've talked about the scheduling tools on the Student Success Central site, graduation worksheets, and so on. Okay. So last minute information, the same process will be taking place via the portal and the Wave this year. Some key things to remember: you have to verify your academic program or it will block the registration. And if you walk away and think you've registered, and that simple task that just takes like 20 seconds to do, verifying your academic program, that can block your registration. SC4 has the Schedule Planner tool to help you find classes that fit with your schedule. But remember, setting a schedule in Schedule Planner has nothing to do with you actually registering for the classes. You've got to go into your Wave and actually bring those classes in to your preferred sections, and then from there, preferred sections, you can register for the actual classes. All this information, of course, registration opens on the 31st. You need to complete the process. And then check and double check that the courses you wanted are on your winter schedule. Don't walk away without doing one of these tasks to check, and I'm going to show you what they are in just a bit. Do not schedule a class that starts before noon at SC4. Now this goes for students from Algonac, Capac, Memphis, and Yale. Port Huron High School and Port Huron Northern students can schedule a class that starts at 11:30. But no earlier than 11:30. We're going to check the registrations and contact you, and your courses will be dropped. So students who are not attending one of our partner high schools, the unaffiliated students, can take a class anytime throughout the day. But otherwise, we stick to these. You cannot leave a high school class early, even if your instructor allows it. You cannot arrive late to a class at SC4, even if the instructor allows it. Okay? And then here are our numbers, and you have our email addresses to set up an appointment or if you have a quick question. I wanted to show you one other thing before wrapping this up, and that is on the Student Success Central site, off to the left, there's going to be a link for SC4 registration. You guys have only done this a couple of times, So I would direct you back to this page. There is a video in terms of using Schedule Planner. There's also a video in terms of getting the classes onto your preferred sections and completing the process. And both of these are important. If you think you know it pretty well and don't need to check the videos again, there's a series of steps listed at the bottom of the page. And it's just real quick, but you want to make sure that you do all of these steps to successfully register. Okay? And then finally, there's one more check, and it's a little page of directions we created called Am I Registered? You can link it to it from right here. It's also on to the left. You'll see the Am I Registered? And I would say once you've registered, wait a week, go back and log in, follow these steps, and make sure those classes are still on your winter schedule. Okay? So that is it for this presentation. And at the time, we of course do these sessions on a Friday, so we had to have a great weekend wish on there. So let us know if you have questions. Double check for the assignment, because there is an assignment you'll need to do if you miss the face-to-face sessions. Thank you. Bye-bye.